Hi guys, I'm Bex,
And I'm Grace.
and we are the Packer Sisters.
Tune in each week as we process through everyday topics and personal experiences.
Welcome back, everybody. We got a special guest here today.
If you hear some kind of sounds, that would be my lovely puppy Ruby.
Yeah,
She is joining me here today to help us begin a conversation that she's very insightful.
she is. Do you think she'll have anything to say about today's topic?
She might.
She might.
You just might. You
So
never know.
she's our expert today. So
She's the expert. Exactly. So if you start hearing some weird noises, just know it's probably her chewing on her rawhide.
classy. We're classy like that.
So what's been going on with you, Bex?
Oh, let me think. Just a lot of work. I got my own cubicle today actually.
You have your cubicle now? That's so exciting.
And it has a lot of problems.
Wait, what kind of problems?
So my cubicle, the data port doesn't work, and they said it was all ready to go, but the data port stopped working or something, and so now I can't get onto the server through my own data port. So I had to go find a 10-foot long cord and connect it from my manager's cubicle to my computer to get onto the server. So
Oh
so
my gosh, I'm so sorry.
well, how about you? How are you doing?
We're doing okay. It's been a really big week, like really hard with work and stuff. I
Yeah.
worked over the weekend, and my husband's grad school is definitely getting harder, I think, by the week. So it's just like we're under a lot of pressure right now. And honestly, I don't think we've ever been through a time like this before where everything's just been hard. I mean, just like 2020 has just been a hard year. I know.
Oh,
Hey, Halloween is coming up. What are you doing for Halloween?
so for Halloween, Zach and I are doing a couple's costume. Zach is my husband, just in case you're a new listener. Just in case. um, Not that we get many new listeners, but so we're doing a couple's costume. If you guys know the video game Overwatch, Zach is gonna be McCree and I'm gonna be Diva.
Well, that'll be fun. But where are you going in those costumes?
We're just gonna hang at the house and it's gonna be us and our housemates and their significant others, and that's it. Like, we don't want to do a party with COVID or anything. So we're just gonna get in costume, eat snacks, and play Jackbox with a bunch of their friends on the East Coast. So
Nice. That'll be fun.
I'm looking forward to it.
Well, good. Is everybody else dressing up?
I think so. I mean, I know that one of the girlfriends is at least, and I think that one of the other couples is, and then Zach and I definitely are. So I would think others would be encouraged too. What are you guys
Yeah,
doing? You know?
I don't know yet, honestly. We might be home, but I don't even have costumes or anything. I'm kind of just like, I don't know. Is it weird to say I'm ready for Christmas?
No, that's totally fine. I know it's weird, but I was sitting at work today and it was kind of foggy and a little icy outside this morning. And I'm like, I just want to listen to Christmas music right now. It would just feel so
Right?
right.
I kind of just want to put up my Christmas tree and like
Well, you know, I think people need some extra cheer and encouragement this year, so I did you remember when people were putting up their Christmas trees and Christmas lights at the beginning of quarantine to kind of cheer people up?
I don't remember that.
That was a big thing. People were putting them up and putting decorations outside just to remind people that there's good things
Uh,
ahead.
And I know hi. I know like people for Halloween are decorating a lot because they're like, oh, we gotta have some spirit, even though people aren't coming to our house, probably like make it cute
Yeah.
and
Yeah, it's like what else are you going to spend your money on this time of year?
I know.
I mean, I guess people could do drive-through trick-or-treating this year, and so
I
they'd
think like
see the
churches and
decorations.
schools and stuff are gonna do that kind of thing and host
Yeah.
big drive-through events, but I don't know. I'm sure Ruby would like that, wouldn't you?
Drive-through
Yeah.
treats.
Oh, I would love it if she could get treats in the drive.
We do have a topic today that we think would kind of be good for sort of even what we were talking about people feeling a little discouraged right now.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
um,
Well, I know you're really excited about this book that you've been reading, which is kind of where this topic is coming from. So do tell.
yeah, so I got recommended this book to start reading, and like I'm not afraid to say that like I have anxiety and depression. I mean, I think most people can say that they do,
Hmm.
especially right now. Even if it's a seasonal thing, like uh I feel like people can relate to this. So this book
Mhm.
kind of delves into those feelings and emotions, and the title of it is called, I think it's called Mindful Self-Compassion, but what I have, like the physical thing I have in front of me right now is called the Mindful Self-Compassion Workbook, and it's by Kristen Neff and Christopher, I think it's Germer or Germer. I'm sorry,
Mhm.
Christopher, if I pronounced it wrong. Um, but this workbook basically guides you through these different ideas of self compassion and what is self compassion, and tries to bring you to a place where you can kind of understand yourself and your emotions better. And it's
Oh,
just really done a lot for me, honestly. Like, it's helped me a
really?
lot. Yeah.
That's so good.
And I'm not here, like, trying to sell this book.
No,
But
I'm just,
I'm here saying it works for me, and I'm not an expert on self-compassion, but I thought we could talk about it.
yeah. So let's just start with a really basic understanding. So what is self-compassion? How do you define that?
Yeah, so the book says it's kind of like treating yourself as you would a good friend, like speaking soothing words to yourself and learning how to be kind to yourself when you fail at something.
Mm, that's really good.
And it
I don't
doesn't
think
even have to do with fail. Like, you might not
that,
even fail at something and still not realize you're talking to yourself negatively.
yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's true. And I think right now everybody's feeling really hard on themselves. And so I can imagine that that's something that's really important.
Yes. Because
Um,
I don't think people realize that even in the little ways we talk to ourselves, it can cause those emotions of depression and anxiety just by how we treat ourselves. Like, we can work ourselves into a panic or into sadness by talking so negatively.
to yourself.
Yeah.
Mm.
And I
Can you
guess
give
I
me an
never thought
example?
about
Like,
it.
is it kind of like saying like I'm pathetic, I'm a failure, didn't I don't know what I'm doing.
I mean, any negative thought that you might throw at yourself, those are definitely ones they mention in the book that I'm doing. I'm
Mm,
pathetic, or maybe you were at work and you didn't do something correctly and they gave it back to you and they're like, you just need to fix this. And you're like, I am the worst. I can't believe I messed up. I can't mess up. I need to do this better. And part of it's good. Like, you want to do things better,
Yeah,
but you don't want to be talking to yourself like you suck.
right. Of course.
Because that's what builds the panic. If you just get this book back and you're like, oh, I will do better next time, and I can do this and I'm just going to try again instead of being like, wow, I suck. Like,
Hmm.
it's going to change your whole outlook on your work, on yourself, how you perceive others. It just really can, I don't know, just make you see through like a different pair of eyes.
It's like changing your inner dialogue,
Yeah.
which is really, really important and a big part of, understanding yourself and learning more about yourself when you
Mhm.
actually pay attention to that voice inside of you. So,
Exactly, Grace.
mm,
And a
yeah.
lot of people think that this is kind of like treating others the way you want to be treated in a way. Like, it has to do with that, but self-compassion kind of goes both ways, which is what I think is cool, because once you learn how to be kinder to yourself, it'll just kind of flow to the other people. So, one topic that I thought we could kind of start with, just
Mhm.
to discuss what we've noticed about culture and stuff, is just about how Western culture emphasizes toughness and
Mm.
thinking we are worthless in a lot of ways in order to succeed. Have you seen that in your own life?
Oh, for sure. That's huge. I think that shame and that fear are what drive a lot of people to do what they do. I mean, including my own self. Like,
Yeah.
I think I think there's this cultural understanding that like for some reason shame is part of our experience as human
Hmm.
beings and that like you have to feel worthless in order to at one point in time feel worthy or
Yeah.
worth something, which I don't know is if that is actually like if that's a good thing.
Yeah. And I mean, we can explore that more as well, just that idea of worthlessness and stuff. But one word that kind of made me think uh, about America, especially, is fear. I see a lot of
Mm,
fear used, like fear tactics used in politics, in
for sure.
religion, in career paths, like
Mhm.
workplaces. Like, it's just something that's very common in America to get people to feel kind of lower to do the work for someone else, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
Um,
it's I think if I can interrupt, just it's the
yeah,
idea that the person with power in a situation has the ability to exercise power over the people
yeah,
around them, also
hmm,
remind them that they have less power than them and that
yeah,
they're expendable in
yes.
a way.
Yeah,
Um,
like in the workplace, if someone's like, "Oh, you're sick," like, "You've been sick a lot lately. I'm feeling a little iffy about that. You can't take a sick day
mm,
today," or something. And then you talk to yourself and say, "Wow, like, I have taken a lot of sick days. I'm such a horrible person. Like, I'm missing too much work. They're relying on me." And those are the things you tell yourself because you're too scared
yeah.
to take that day off, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, like, we can relate. I feel like most people know that feeling where they're like, should I take a day off today? When they really need it.
Yeah.
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 And that's just
No, it's
something that
it's
America does.
yeah. No, you're totally right. I mean, like, I feel guilty about taking days off, even though I feel like I work my ass off. And I mean, I think that's
Yeah,
true.
you do.
And I also know that my workplace has fostered a lot of positivity and like
Mm.
compassion and care. So those feelings of guilt and shame are not projected on me by the people in my workplace. It's all internal dialogue because of how
Yes.
I've been raised and socialized as an individual in the United States, you know.
Yes. And honestly, I'm trying to think of that comment you made there, just like the way we think internally is kind of our greatest enemy in the long
Yes. Oh, sorry.
run.
My dog just opened the blinds so she could look
I
out the
don't know
window.
how she did that.
Oh, jeez. Yeah, our inner dialogue you're right, can be our own worst enemy and inflicts a lot of shame on us
Mhm.
and causes a lot of pain, even if you're in a really positive environment,
Mhm.
which no
And
wonder why
yeah,
self-compassion is so important, like you're talking about.
yeah, and it's something which is weird. Like our first thoughts aren't to be like, "Wow, I just need to be nicer to myself." Our first thoughts are, "I need to be harder on myself in order to be better." Wouldn't you agree?
Right. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And that's like not how our thinking process should be. And I'm just
Mm-hmm.
realizing this now, mid 20s. I'm like, wow, I need to get my act together in my head because I shouldn't be saying such negative things to myself. And yes, the book does mention this kind of attitude in Western culture, but it doesn't really talk about Eastern cultures as much, though they
Mm-hmm.
do mention that Eastern culture does have a different attitude towards the self than we would.
Yeah.
So that
Yeah.
would be kind of another topic, I guess, to look into later.
I was
Um,
going to say, I'd love to hear some more about kind of what you've learned or picked up from the book that has really changed the way that you've been able to have a dialogue within yourself
right.
and treat yourself with that compassion that you've
Yeah.
needed.
So, like every self-help book you'll ever find, they kind of have like some steps in it. And it's not normal steps. Like, oh, if you do ABC, you're gonna win the lottery. It's like, no, if you do A, B, and C and remember them throughout your day, it'll remind you to be kinder to yourself in the long run. So,
Mm-hmm.
they're saying that self compassion kind of involves three things: common humanity, which is kind of the idea that, we're all human, no one's perfect, you're not alone in your struggles, kind of feel. Second is
Mm-hmm.
mindfulness, which is the idea of, logic. Like, don't exaggerate things in your head to make them worse than what they are. Just see things as they are and also open yourself up to the idea that what you're thinking could actually look different to somebody else. And
Mm-hmm.
then the third thing is self kindness, which is pretty straightforward, just being gentle with yourself and nicer to yourself.
Yeah.
I have to say, out of those three, the hardest for me
Mm.
is mindfulness, because
Really?
my first thing that I want to do is exaggerate. Like something happened to me, I'll come home and I'll get so mad and I'll tell Zach like, "Oh, it was the worst day ever. Like, so and so said this, and oh my gosh, they were so rude." And like, then I get it all out and then I think about it and I'm like, they probably weren't as rude as I thought they were being. They probably just came off a little weird. Um,
Right.
so really it's just telling yourself, okay, step back and
Mm.
remember that, you know, it's not always what it seems to be at first.
Yeah, no, it's funny because honestly, I feel like between the two of us, are very logical and very like straightforward. So it's funny because I would feel like that would probably be the easiest and most natural for you, but that's really interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I agree that I would be a logical person. I'm a very logical minded person, but when it comes to emotions,
Mm,
I have a very hard time describing how I feel or
yeah.
like how something is perceived by myself because I need time to process it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
immediately I'm gonna say it was the worst thing ever, and then a week later I'll be like, oh yeah, that happened, it's whatever.
No, it's so funny. I kind of resonate with that. Like I sometimes I'll see things or hear things or I don't know, just see what's going on and I'll come home and come to Peter, my husband, and say like, this makes me feel upset and I don't know why. Can you help
Mm-hmm.
me talk through this? Like, why does this make me feel the way that I'm feeling right now? And
Yeah.
we've had lots of conversations like that um, in the last probably few months, especially during quarantine, because I think I almost feel more out of touch with my emotions because
Yeah.
I've been really good at just practicing numbness.
Yes.
Um, but no, it's been really good to try and get back in touch with those emotions and feelings. But I was gonna say for me, based on this list, I feel like the self kindness is probably the hardest.
I
I
mean,
am.
yeah, that's hard.
It's really hard. I feel like I'm really hard on myself, and I set unrealistically high expectations for myself that I don't think any human should normally be able to achieve. Um, but I do,
Yeah,
and I work myself to the bone
you
to try and
do.
achieve those goals in my head, and it's probably not the best way to live life.
And what kind of stuff, if you don't mind sharing, I guess, if it's too personal, just don't
Mm.
worry. But what kind of stuff do you tell yourself if you need to meet a deadline or like if you missed a deadline or something?
So things that I'll tell myself sometimes is like, let's say I have so much to do around the house and I really want to get it all done that night.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe I've just been doing hours and hours worth of work and I'm like, I really need a break. And so maybe I
Mm-hmm.
put on like a TV show.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I sit there for maybe like 20, 30 minutes and in my head just convert like this dialogue of like, you're so lazy, get up off your butt and go
Oh
work.
my
Like you should be
gosh.
using this time to go clean instead and like
Oh.
finish up the house rather than sitting on your butt. And I have lots of inner dialogues like that. Like if you like resting makes you lazy or resting makes you selfish, you're being so selfish by not, you know, pouring yourself out into taking care of others by taking care of your house and your animal and your husband
Right.
um and that's just I realize that's not healthy.
Yeah, and
Mhm.
that's exactly the kind of behavior that I was kind of mentioning that we have based on just like the way culture is around us.
Mhm.
Um, a lot of people are worried about self-compassion because they think it's about boosting your ego and it's going to make you a narcissist. You know, because that's one of the reasons I know I've been afraid to be kind to myself is because I'm like, I don't want to turn into a asshole from telling myself I'm amazing, I'm the best. Like, you know, it's something we're afraid of because we don't want to be seen as like rude or something. Um, so just kind of to put it in context, self-compassion isn't about boosting your ego. It's more of comforting yourself,
Mhm.
if that makes sense. It's not saying I'm the best or like I look so amazing, like I look better than that girl over there kind of attitude. But it is
Mhm.
saying, wow, I look great today. I'm a beautiful person inside and outside. I can do this. I know I can do it. You know, like just reminding yourself that you got this today or whatever. Like a friend would say to you if you were
Yeah.
needing a boost, you
No,
know?
I think that's really, really good. And I think it's really important to be reminded, especially in times like this where we're isolated and
Yeah.
just feeling really alone, that
Mhm.
we are, that we can remember that we're loved and we're appreciated, and that
Of course.
with that we should also learn how to love our own self.
Yes. Not just, the other people around you, which you should show love to as well, but showing love to yourself is, I think, the most important thing to do during a crisis, because otherwise you'll kind of go mentally nuts in the long run because you just feel everything bad's happening.
Nuts. No, just
Yeah,
kidding.
nuts. um
Nuts.
and I was gonna say, like, the whole idea of feeling like you're a lazy butt if you come home and take a rest. Like, imagine it again with me now, Grace. Like, you're sitting on your couch, you have chores you need to do, and you're watching
Yeah.
TV and just relaxing because you haven't gotten to all day.
Yeah.
Pretend you call me up and you tell me you feel lazy. What would I tell you?
You mean like, Grace, you're not lazy. You just
Exactly.
worked an 8-hour day.
Yes. And so that is how you should talk to yourself. You shouldn't say that you're a terrible person, that you're lazy. You gotta be like, it's okay. Because you know what? If I called up my best friend right now, whoever that is, people, they would say that I deserve a break for a little bit, and it's okay to take care of myself once in a while.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
I
okay.
need that.
We got our whole lives to live?
So does that mean you practice in your head calling me up and,
Oh,
and then
sure.
I tell you?
In my head, I just kind of imagine almost like a an image of me comforting myself. Or
Oh,
like times when I've comforted friends in the past that have been going through rough times, I like remember the feeling of it and how I
mm-hmm,
responded to them, and that I
mm-hmm,
remind myself like that's how I should respond to myself right now,
mm. That's
you know.
awesome.
I think an important word from the book is resilience.
Oh,
And that's like a
okay.
really great word. That just
Yeah,
means
talk a
being
little
able
bit
to
about that.
bounce back. Yeah, being able to bounce back from any situation.
Hmm. Yeah, no, I think a lot of us will be way more resilient after the pandemic than
I
we're
agree.
going to.
I'm so excited to get back to going out with friends and
One
even just
day.
like going to the library.
Even just, yeah, right? Just a simple thing like going to the library and picking out some good books. Oh,
Yes.
man.
Oh, I miss it.
Oh, man. So, any other takeaways from the book that you want to share?
Statistically speaking, self-compassionate people are less afraid to fail than people who live off of self-esteem or that ego boost. So, if you're nicer to yourself about situations, and yeah, you can still be hard on yourself. Like, you can still say, wow, I kind of
Mhm.
botched it this time. I just need to do better next time. That's fine. You just don't want to
Right.
get to the point where you're like, I'm a terrible person. I suck.
Mm,
You know,
exactly.
sometimes you need that self tough love as well. So don't get that confused.
Yeah, and I think like you don't want to like go home and like cry your eyes out over something
Right,
like
right.
making a mistake, but
But yeah, I mean, it's fine if you need to. Like, if you're still adjusting to how to speak to yourself kindly and you need a good cry, like, that's totally
it's fine.
fine. Yeah.
Yes.
And just telling yourself it's fine to cry kind of makes you feel less like crying while you're crying, honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you're kind to yourself while you're having like a panicked cry, it it really helps.
Huh.
It really does.
Well,
You should
I'll
try
have to
it.
try that next time.
All right, everybody. Next time you panic cry before you go get that ice cream, just try saying like three nice things to yourself.
You are awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
just try it. Seriously, it really does help. Instead of wallowing in those sad thoughts, remembering that yes, it's okay to be sad, but also like I don't need to eat this whole tub of ice cream to feel better about myself.
yeah. Moderation, people,
Yeah.
moderation. Well, that's super interesting. So I'm curious, were there any sort of like practices or anything you wanted to try with us before the end of
Yeah.
our podcast today?
Yeah, so I thought this question might be really interesting. Uh,
Hmm.
what are the main differences that you notice with how you treat yourself versus a friend?
What do you have? What are your responses to that?
Let me get my
I'm
book.
curious.
I got my workbook, girl. Okay, I've noticed in the past that it's been almost completely opposite of each other.
Oh.
Like how I would talk to a friend versus in my head to myself, like it would be totally opposite. It's like I'm two different people. It's kind of
What?
terrible. Yeah, like to my friends I'd be caring and uplifting, like, "What? Don't talk to yourself so mean. Like you're a great person. You got this." And then to myself I'd be super demeaning, like, "I am a terrible person. I can't do this. I'm the worst." You know?
Yeah,
And
I
I
feel that.
I realized how weird that was because after writing all this, I made like a list, like
Yeah.
how you would hug a friend if they
Mhm.
were crying, and like for yourself, you would isolate yourself if you were sad. You know,
Mm, that's
maybe
fair.
you should try to like mentally hug yourself. I don't know,
It's possible.
or
Or
just
go find
pretend.
somebody to give you a hug. Go find
Yeah,
somebody that's
because
meaningful and happen
you
to you.
deserve hugs too if you're sad. Like,
Mhm.
you know, just remember though, like, even if you are by yourself or living by yourself, like you can still find ways to be compassionate towards yourself with like, and you don't need another person, if that makes sense, because I know a lot of people are by themselves right now.
Mhm.
Because they actually recommend in the book, if you're really sad and need a hug, just hold yourself.
Oh, that's true. You could totally do that. Or you could always hold a pillow, like hug a pillow.
Yeah,
Or if you have a pet, hug your pet.
or a stuffed animal.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they're just saying that there's ways to comfort yourself without needing other people, and it's okay to need other people too. So, what I'm gonna leave us with today is a mantra that you can kind of tell yourself when you notice you're talking negatively or you're having a bad situation happen to yourself, anything like that. Just say, "May I accept myself as I am. May I forgive myself. May I be patient," or anything kind of similar to that will work as well. Just remember in those situations, if you're feeling, really mad at somebody, like, yeah, it's okay to feel mad, but also remember to be nice to yourself because you don't want to get yourself so worked up about it that you're gonna do something you didn't mean. Um,
Mm,
or like if you do something terrible, learning how to forgive yourself, to release all that shame you're having is also a great idea. So, whatever you need right now, just kind of make that your mantra. Sorry, I keep wanting to say mantra. So, just make it your mantra. Like, may I accept myself as I am. So, that's just like the first quarter of the book that I'm reading. There's a lot
oh,
more I haven't read. But I hope that gives you guys a good taste of what you could be telling yourself to have kind of a
yeah.
better outlook on life right now. So,
Think I'll
mhm.
go put a sticky note up somewhere with something on it.
Do it and remember to tell yourself that you're awesome and you've made it so far this year. So,
Right? The fact that we've made it this far in 2020 is pretty crazy awesome. And that means we're resilient.
Resilient. Ugh. Well, anyways, guys, thanks for joining us. I know this is a short one, but it's a good one.
It's important for us. So we hope that you learn to accept yourselves and forgive yourselves and know that it's okay to be where you're at right now because
Yeah.
we're right there with you. So
Mhm.
hope you have a wonderful rest of your day.
Bye, everybody.
Ruby says bye too. Bye.
Bye.